Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. This is Dosha with DoshaDreamsTarot, and this is a reading for the sign of Leo. This is for Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus signs, wherever you have Leo in your chart. Please keep in mind, it is a general reading, so it may or may not resonate with you. Just take what does, leave the rest for somebody else. No worries. So Leo, thank you for being patient. My astrology readings have been coming out a lot slower this week. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're not, if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. It actually kind of blows my mind that y'all interact with my videos and let me know that you like it and, interact and stuff. It's really cool to talk with you guys and hear how the reading resonated. I think that's a really rewarding part of doing all this is knowing that, that I've helped people or that it meant something to someone, So I really love doing this, guys. Thanks so much for continuing to fuel my fire. Thanks to everyone who has dropped me donations. It really means a lot, guys, especially in these times, So anyway, I appreciate it a lot. So just wanted to say, yes, Leo, I did not forget about you when I did the fire signs yesterday. I just was so drained. So now I'm here. It's a fresh day. It's a new day. I'm here. So you've got a couple cards coming out here. And Leo, 7 of Wands in reverse. Okay. So we'll keep that in mind, but let's not let it lay too much weight. Okay, I'm getting a couple of messages here. You've got the 2 of Swords in reverse, as well as the 6 of Cups, which for me in this moment is really feeling a lot like nostalgia. So the way that I'm seeing it in 2 different ways. Now I feel like you are accessing your innermost psyche, and like in a lot of ways this could be like people would refer to it as like your inner child, like doing inner child work, right? That's the energy that I'm getting. But I'm also getting that this could be talking about a connection with somebody, right? So it could be an individual thing that's linked to like a deeper narrative is what I'm really getting here. And that you're finally able to see that narrative clearly. You're finally able to see the patterns clearly. You're seeing the way your past affects your present, right? And the way that your mind will drift and wander to the past with these butterflies is what I'm feeling, like this really kind of like flitty, floaty, like, which is like, it's not a bad thing if you're able to stay positive, right? But if you, right, but if you're exploring your, your emotions and your memories just kind of like, I don't want to say willy-nilly, but, in this kind of fluttery way, then it's like you just end up drifting down memory lane, right? And you're seeing how those memories and the things that you think about are actually correlating with what you're experiencing in your everyday waking life, right? So you're like, okay, I'm thinking all of a sudden about like past relationships. Like, why am I thinking about that? And it's like, oh, is it because there's present situations that are like somewhat triggering to these past experiences or these past, relationships, right? And then kind of looking even deeper and being like, oh, what was my relationship like with my parents? Da da da, right? That's what I'm getting from these cards. It's almost like you see it all now. And you're like, wow, like I feel so liberated. Like you may still be in these patterns or you may still have these ruminations or these memories or whatever it is that's going on here. But you're conscious of it now. Like you're conscious of it happening and you go, oh shit, like I'm doing the thing, right? Where now I'm thinking about the past and I'm allowing it to impact my present, like the way that I feel right now, right? Or the decisions that I make moving forward, right? So that's what I'm really getting for you guys here. It's, it's kind of like foundational, important work, right? So maybe this 7 of Wands in reverse is talking about you are no longer kind of shielding yourself from the reality of this, right? Like a lot of times we will repress these types of inner reflections because we're, it's hard for us to you know, some of us, okay, I'm just gonna get real with you guys, people who struggle with, you know, foundational kind of childhood relationships, like if that was rocky or inconsistent, you know what I mean, then that can really create a lot of emotional vulnerability, okay, I think is the best way to put it, really. And when you have that, it's very difficult for you to I guess what's the word? I almost want to say it's, I think that people who struggle with this, right? And this is like coming from personal experience also, is it sometimes that criticism can feel like an attack because you're so used to being attacked that you assume the worst when people, you know, give you feedback, or you know what I mean, or you reflect on yourself, right? So this is really what it's about. Self-reflection is that a lot of times we can avoid self-reflection because we don't want to look at the areas where that we feel inadequate, because that's like some of the most painful parts of us, right? Is feeling inadequate, unworthy of love, right? Like you're not, or you couldn't make your parents proud of you, right? Seriously, guys, this is about attachment styles. And so when you are coming from, you know, a rocky foundation because you weren't given the type of emotional security that is necessary to be able to, you know, feel strong enough and confident in yourself and your own self-worth, that criticism and self-reflection doesn't shake you, because you're like, oh yeah, I can admit when I'm wrong, because just because I was wrong doesn't mean I'm bad, right? But that's, if that's how your, you know, your primary relationships was that if you made a mistake, then it was like a reflection of your character. Or if you had religious parents who, I'm getting really deep here, guys, but if you had religious parents who would like accuse you of being evil and shit, right? Because like, oh, well, you're not behaving like a godly child, so, you know, it must be the devil, right? Like literally, guys, like this shit happens. It's like very, very common. So like, you know, if you, I'm just saying, you may be able to relate with that. But it's things like that. It's like just basically treating your children like they're inadequate and somehow defective, right? So when you receive that kind of treatment, then it just makes it difficult for you to do self-reflection. It makes it difficult for you to see yourself clearly either, you know, because you actually like decrease your own value in your own eyes, you know, because you're like, oh, well, if I wasn't able to get, you know, those people to love me and approve of me, which you never should have had to try and receive that, you know what I mean? So that's like where I think, you know, this kind of self reflection is starting to happen, because I think you're starting to realize, like, wait a second, like, I don't have to be good enough in order to be treated with respect or kindness, you know what I mean? Or I don't have to be good enough to for people to love me, right? You're like, you know, maybe these people didn't love me and, you know what I mean, essentially rejected me and made me feel like I wasn't worth as much as I really am. And that has impacted you in this way where it affects your current relationships or your even present circumstances. Wow. Okay, we've got the Tower card in reverse. So talking about those rocky foundations, right? So in this context, it's like two things. Because you are doing this self-reflection here, it's like Spirit's giving you the opportunity to investigate these rocky foundations, right? And to investigate where, like, the types of paths that it leads you down. Oh my God, 5 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. This is talking about the types of paths, like, which would be tower moments, right? That this narrative leads you down because of the way that you are viewing yourself, the way that you're viewing relationships, right? Because you are taking the blindfold off here and you're actually looking at this, you're telling yourself, like, if I can see the pattern, right, then I can break the pattern. And that's what this is. Like, it feels like breaking that pattern where you're like, okay, I recognize that like my relationship styles are built on a unstable foundation. And so if I can investigate that and see where those, those kind of things that I learned, right? Because that's we internalize our experiences, right? So we learn what heartbreak is like. We learn what pain is like, and we learn what rejection is like, or mistreatment, or whatever it is that you experienced, right? Once we know what that's like, it's like you can't not know it anymore. So you know that at some point, like that's a potential experience that you could have. And you go, well, in what situations and scenarios did that happen, or did I feel that way? And you're like, oh, my relationships with other people. So it's like literally your friendships, your romantic relationships, your familial relationships, your work relationships. Like you start to look at it and you're like, oh my God, like I have been operating from a place of fear because of these experiences that I had. And that has actually, Spirit saying not that deck. Okay, Spirit wants me to just keep talking first. Okay, so basically, when it comes to these foundations, you've essentially been able to detangle the mess that has been like your life experience, right? Where that before you had everything organized like in this way, like this is what I'm getting, guys, is it's like you had your narrative organized in a way that reinforced the negative, like the painful experiences that you encountered. It's like you're realizing how your narrative has actually built, or has actually contributed to this type of cycle, right? And that's really painful to do when it wasn't your fault to begin with, right? You get what I'm saying, guys? It was not your fault to begin with. If your parents were the ones who set you off to a disadvantage, and sometimes they don't even mean to do it. It's just because they're doing the best they can at that time, and they were at a disadvantage too, and vice versa. Generationally, this shit happens, So guys, it's like, it's really hard to self-reflect on how we could have possibly contributed to like all these negative experiences we've had, right? Like if their relationship foundation was shaky, it's like, well, we didn't learn the right things about relationships. We learned that they were unstable, that they're unpredictable, that they're dangerous, that they are one-sided or unfulfilling, or, you know what I mean, end in heartbreak, whatever it is, guys. It's like, we didn't realize that, like, and I'm saying we, and I'm like, Leo, I just like, I'm sorry, but I feel like people, like a lot of you guys can relate to this, I feel like, and I'm relating to it also, but it's like, because you're able to finally do that, and you're like, look, okay, it's painful to look my past and the cycles that I've been through, it's hard to look them like straight on, right? But I'm gonna do it. And because you're doing this, it's actually allowing you to flip this tower over and look at it from the bottom up. Does that make sense? Like, instead of it all crumbling and falling apart and then going, oh, damn, I guess it was because of the rocky foundation, right? It's like you're able to look at the underbelly and be like, wait, like, where is it rocky? How can I actually improve it? Right? It's not just seeing it and then being like, oh, well, woe is me. I guess my whole life is going to be a tower and I'm never going to have a stable foundation. Like, absolutely not. Okay, Leo? Absolutely not. You are moving towards understanding yourself on a deeper level. This is things coming up and back from the past and these memories. And, I feel like when all this stuff has been like purged and looked at, you're going to have, you already are starting to have a deeper understanding of who you are. And when you're able to do that, like, it will open new doors for you, because the lack of clarity with which you have been like living your life, and like, this is not as an insult, Leo, this is what I feel like in this, whoever this reading is for, like, this is literally just what happens when you get into survival mode, and when you don't have the right tools to form healthy long-term relationships, you know what I mean, then you just experience, you know, cycles of relationships falling apart, and it's not always just your fault, like, because we all are struggling with different types of attachment styles, right? So I'm just saying that you could have been linking up with other people who had attachment style, you know, like incompatibilities and instabilities, I should say. And so it's like, it's not your fault that, you know, you haven't been able to necessarily like break out of that pattern, right? And so recognizing just all of it, right? Like, not just, oh, well, you got to look at your part in it, and you got to, you know what I mean? Because that's like, I'm not gonna sit here and victim blame anybody and be like, well, it all comes back to you, because that's not the truth at all. The truth is that once we have that stuff wired, then it's like, it's really hard to to rewire it, to reroute it, to change it, you know? But this is like an opportunity for you to do exactly that. Like, I just feel like you come to this point now, right, where it's like you have the tools and the ability to embark on this journey of looking at it and looking at the underbelly, looking at your past, looking at the patterns. And I feel like you do have what it takes to do that. And, you know, the pain and the, you know what I mean? Like, the pain of this is very difficult to overcome. You know, it's not an overnight thing. It's not easy. So what I'm saying is, this is not day one for you, Leo. This is not day one. If anything, this is like coming to the end of the cycle, like the healing cycle, right? It is coming to the end of these. I feel it anyway for you. It's coming to the end of these types of cycles. Oh my God, it just popped out in the upright. Y'all. Yeah, see, because this is what you're starting to realize. You're going, okay, so you're like, I haven't had, right? And this is for whoever this reading is for, guys. All of this may not resonate with you, but what I'm getting is the message that's coming through is that for those of you who feel like you never had this, like growing up where you were the kid in the background playing, right? Like you've never experienced this, only maybe from the outside, you know, like maybe your friends' families were like this, and that hurts even more, you know, in some cases for people, right? Or, you know, maybe your, yeah, I don't know why I wanted to say that too. I was going to say like your spouse's family, or like your, you know, like your partner's family and stuff like that. You've experienced this kind of energy through other people's families, not necessarily through your own, you know? And I think that when you grow up like that, it's almost like it does leave like a wound, you know? And so you're realizing now that you're like, I don't have to live my entire life without this, though. I can build this for myself, and I can build this with other people, and like we can actually have what it is that we've never had before, right? And I can do that by actually looking at the wound and being like, okay, what do I need to do to assess this in order to heal it? And it's like you have been doing that slowly, I feel like, over time, like chipping away at it. You know, you do a little research here, a little research there. You're kind of like cleaning up around it. It's like an archaeologist or something, right? I can't believe I just got that. It's a really cute message, because I can see it where it's like, you know, you're brushing away and you're slowly revealing more and more what it is that's buried beneath the surface. And it's like, then all of a sudden, you know, it starts to make a full picture, and you go, oh my God, it's a Tyrannosaurus Rex, right? Which is just adorable, right? I mean, I don't know why that's adorable to me. I think I associate dinosaurs with kids, which is also why I feel like it's almost like some part of you, some childlike part of you has started to surface again, and you're starting to see like what kind of person you actually are. You're like, wow, I was like this when I was a kid. Like the essence of me is like, I wanted to, you know, play in the dirt and you know what I mean? And do fun things, and like that you loved like family things. Like, you know, like I'm getting that when things were good in your family, like you really loved that. And those are like the memories that you may feel being like, oh, well, you know, at least there was that, right? And so it's kind of this bittersweet, like looking at your past, then looking at where you are in your present, and what an opportunity this is for you to change course and choose a different, you know, route for yourself, a different outcome. And then also looking at your future and being like, wow, like I really want to build something like that. Like that's what I want in my mind's eye, just this vision of like happiness and harmony, you know, and no more tower moments, dude. Like you want to build something that's going to last, and you want it to be like fun. I don't know why I'm getting that. Like you want it to be like something that is like that you enjoy, that you love, you know, and you just want to be living your life with like openness, like open arms instead of this Two of Swords, right? So that's what you're doing. You're opening yourself up to possibilities, and you're also you know, you're ending these cycles where it doesn't have to be this cataclysmic thing anymore. Like relationships can actually be something that's stable and healthy and long term and happy and like awesome. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm really getting for you. It's really, really sweet. It's a great reading. I typically would pull like a bunch of oracle cards and stuff, guys, but this is feeling like the whole reading right here. So I just want to say that this is like a very simple but straightforward reading. And Leo, it's really like you're doing, I almost said you're doing God's work, which is hilarious, but like I wouldn't usually say that, but it's more like you're doing the work. You're doing the higher work. You know what I mean? Like you're actually you're starting to, and it may feel like dark work because you may be looking at these wounds, and you know, so it may feel like, you know, like you're like, oh, this doesn't feel like my higher self, right? Because you're starting to, all the fear and all that sort of thing is like you're looking at it, and you're, so it's not, it doesn't always feel bright and sunny when you're doing it, but that's like what the outcome is. This is actually how you will free yourself and become more joyful and more, you know, emotionally and spiritually fulfilled, you know, like filling in that, you know, that pain, right? And not covering it up or suppressing it or doing anything like that. It's like you're actually like you're looking at it, you know, and figuring out what you can do next to heal it, right? So that's awesome. I love it. So thank you, Leo, for tuning in. I do hope that you liked this message, that it helped you, it resonated. If it did, just interact with the video and let me know. I really do appreciate it. I read all the comments, and also, if you need a dream interpretation, I do offer that. So my contact information is in the description box below, as well as my donation links. If you ever want to drop me a donation, it really means a lot to me. And yeah, thanks for stopping in, and I hope to see you again next time.